And then there was another actual thing I saw in New York Times too about kind of the rise of QR codes. I guess in restaurants, I mean, generally, I think the U.S. has been behind on QR codes for a long time. I've been to, in the East, in China, Japan, even in India, a lot of restaurants have QR codes, and it's a pretty common thing. Um, but it always seemed so foreign, and I don't think it was really until the iPhone kind of had a native QR code scanner that it really blew up a lot more. There was always like third-party apps you could use, but nobody's downloading that. And then Androids, I think, had the feature for quite some time, but in the States, I guess nobody really cared about that being a market driver. But now, you go to any restaurant and QR codes are there, and then you kind of go down the path of the smaller the restaurant, how they kind of manage that online menu option. I've been to restaurants where you scan the QR code and it goes straight to a PDF, and it just takes me to the PDF version of the menu, and that's great, fine and dandy. But I've also been to restaurants where you scan the QR code and it takes you to one of these. I don't know what the exact term is, but it's kind of like it's called a menu as a service, because I'm sure that's probably a term by now, where you can order online. It's an interactive more menu where you can filter by like appetizers and entrees and stuff along those lines. And then that's where it gets a little bit tricky, right? Because anytime you're loading up a site, you've now got location data. You've now got all your they're dropping a cookie and they know other pages you're going to. And then those prices you're seeing are no longer dynamic. At least in the PDF, I know I'm paying straight prices, right? But imagine in a restaurant, you started getting dynamic prices for how much you would pay for a soft drink, right? There's no way that it doesn't go to that. It doesn't lead to that path, basically, as data is collected from simply just looking at a menu. Something that, and the worst part I think about the menus at a restaurant was really the first thing you do at a restaurant is now you have to whip out your phone and scan. You go to a restaurant, you want to eat with somebody, let's just put the phones down, face down. Sometimes, like me and my friends will play a game. Everyone puts their phone in the middle of the table. First person to pick it up either picks up the tab or has to like chip in or buy around or do whatever. But some tax for doing that. But now you have to get on your phone, and the first 10 minutes you're sitting at a table, everyone just scanned the QR code and is like hunched over on their phone reading the menu. Right? It's not like you're not really having a interactive thing anymore. But they say that it cuts down on labor costs. I'm not really sure how it does, but the quote was something like 40-50% of labor costs is reduced by digital menus. I'd like to see that study because I'm not really sure how it could make that big of an impact. Have you guys seen these things or interacted with them or had any tricky experiences?
I've seen some of these, and I consider these equivalent to chatbots or talking to the digital phone assistants and whatnot. You're going there to get an experience, interact with real people. Automating some of those aspects will negate the entire experience of eating out. So I'm not a big fan of these developments. And tracking aside, the experience is the key. And if it negates the experience, then you may be saving on labor costs and whatnot as a restaurant owner. Well, you'll likely see less customers too. So we got to look at that balance in a holistic way.
It seems like the idea of contactless, of course, went huge over the last year and a half because of the pandemic, and it made a lot of sense. But it seemed like contactless went from being first thought of as an important customer experience, almost now to a company's way to I don't know, surveil or at least capture data, which it, of course, then can become a surveillance thing. It just feels like, does it matter if it started out more as a customer need because they didn't want to touch, and now it went from that to more of, the more contactless we go, the more data we can collect and the more potential surveillance can also happen.